Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs.
Hey guys, Standard Room 16, and today I want to show you guys my pact support class, I suppose you'd call it, and that's for the Warsaw Pact, which is one of the two alliances in Wargame Airland battles, or Airland battle, sorry, not plural. And I've noticed something fairly strange. If you're an artillery player, right, if you like artillery, the best thing, personally I reckon, that you could go is probably packed. The reason why, right, is look at this. 23,800 meters. If you go there, see 23,800 meters, that's the range of that. If you go to MLRS, it's 42,000 meters, and that's, as far as I know of, that's the furthest firing thing, not just artillery, but furthest firing thing in the game. Okay? But that's not particularly amazing. It's at least the furthest firing for the NATO countries, but it's not the furthest firing thing in the game. It's just not the furthest firing thing in the game. I'm not sure, right? Because what I'm surprised with, these are rockets, so you'd expect these to fire pretty damn far. If that's 40,000 meters, that's what, like 4.2 kilometers, something like that. So maybe about 3 miles it fires. But here's the thing: HE power 12, suppression 262. And 7 rounds a minute. Okay? So 12, 262, 7 rounds a minute. And those are pretty good. But here's the thing, 40,000 meters, that's shit, and if you look at these stats, I can't compare them all, but if you guys want to compare them, okay. Right? Got all those numbers in your head, guys? Now if we go back out here, try and remember those numbers, guys, and we go through edit. And this is my pack support class, and I'm sure you guys have probably spotted right away, it's very different from my NATO one. There's a lot more artillery. Right? The reason why is, look at this. This is a gun, not rockets, just a gun, 42,000 meters. It has less rate of fire than the rockets, but look, suppression 467, HE power 14, accuracy, which is obviously really good, 10. You know, because rockets just fire in an area, they do area damage, but this, if you want it to fire at a direct target, it's gone. That simple. But it's not just that neither. I mean, look. Well, that's an aircraft gun, sorry. This one's 36,150 meters. And you get a little bit extra guys than you do with these or the rockets. Plus I think they may have a higher rank, these guys and these guys. These are higher rank, but they might be higher on the rockets, so I'm trying to say, from the NATO powers. But look at that. The HE power of this is still pretty much the same as that. It just has slightly less accuracy and slightly less range and even less rate of fire per minute. But bear in mind, if you have larger numbers of these, the rate of fire won't matter for shit. Because obviously you can spam these units. I mean, you can get 3 of these from just the Russians, which I think is more than the rockets. I think you're only at 2 maximum. Don't quote me on that one, but I think that may all be you can get for these long firing things, basically. And then you can also get another one from the Czechs, which another one of these things from the Czechs, which is 36,750 meters again. So already the artillery for the Russians, it just dominates. I mean, any artillery gun for the NATO, sorry, at maximum probably fire about 25,000, maybe 30,000. But these are guns, and these fire 42,000 meters, some 36,000. So that's a lot further. You'd be able to attack enemy artillery before it managed to get in position to attack you. I mean, the rockets, they have a slight bit more suppression, a bit higher rate of fire, and I think round about the same HE power. Don't quote me on that one, but you guys will be able to check because you guys have the video. I might have to go back, and you know it's bad for you guys. There you go. It has less range, but it does seem to have better stats. Another rocket one, and that one's not particularly fast, further firing. Obviously you've got light artillery pieces here, like 19,250. That's like an SPG basically, if you've ever played like World of Tanks or something. 17,500. So a lot of this stuff is like heavy or armoured stuff that can't fire as far. But these are like the extreme guns. I mean, I was checking extreme guns for the NATO powers, and none of them fired that far. The furthest I've seen one firing was probably about 30,000 metres. So that's be done about the artillery talking. So I'm going to go through the NATO support stuff that I've done, as well as the pack support stuff that I've been kinda noticing. One is I have only one tank in this, and it's T-72B. And I don't think it's with a particularly strong tank or anything. I also have one activation point expense, so I could just buy another one of these, really. Or well, I can only have one of these. I'm not entirely sure about the tanks and stuff. I mean, they do seem good and stuff. But I suppose I was always under the illusion that America and Britain and stuff always had the best stuff. But if you come across one of these, sometimes they can tend to be a bit of a surprise and wipe a lot of shit out. Another thing I was thinking about is that you don't really seem, I don't know if there is, but I don't really seem to be like, there doesn't really seem to be something that could challenge the Leopard. If I take us back, and if we go to NATO support, I mean look here, right, Leopard costs 145 points, okay? And look at that, that's massive. I mean, it's bigger than the Chieftain, it's bigger than the Challenger, and I think it's still bigger on the Abrams, but the point is, right, you get less of these, the Challenger and the Abrams, or anything else. The reason why is because it's so damn big. It doesn't have particular high fuel capacity, it's also very fast. But the main thing is though, like, it's pretty big, it's pretty well armoured, you know, stuff like that, and it has that fucking MG3, which is like a modern MG42. So infantry is not a problem at all. Its cannons run about the same firing as a Challenger, which is good, but it has a higher fire rate and more AP power, which I think is anti-personnel power. Could be wrong on that one. So Leopard is like the monster of this game. It can defeat just about anything. As far as I know of anyway. That's an interesting name for a tank, a Starship. It's also quite a weird looking tank. But anyway, yeah, as you can see, that's 145 points, which means obviously it's a big hitter, it's a big tank. It's a tank to take in, like, and use for just battering people, or just destroying people, if you want that, and American. And if we go back to pack support, okay, shit, sorry. The highest pricey one I can see is this T80, sorry, which is 130. You know, and or this T64BV, which is 135. But I can't really tell if these could stand up against a Leopard. I mean, in numbers, yeah, I got like one or two, I could probably take out a Leopard. But if one on one, it looks like the Leopard would just dominate. And the other thing as well, of course, is like, I don't know if it means too much, but I'd usually say the price usually means that it's obviously better, or the same as in a kind of area. These are 130, the Leopard's 145, so the closest you can get is 135 points, so you're still 10 off, but in a one-on-one fight I'd imagine that 10 would have a big difference. Now I could go through all the infantry and recon and stuff, but I don't know if I can really be bothered. But one thing I do know, I haven't really looked too much at the armoured vehicles. Oh, that's like the APC in GTA 4, so I've only just noticed that. Sorry. But one thing I have noticed is that when it comes to recon units, I do believe that the Russians may have a slight problem. I mean, that doesn't look too bad, That's pretty awesome as well. I think it was recon units, it might have been support units for a tank or something, but if we come out here, the Pact are in a big trouble for this. Just discard that. NATO support. I mean, they're in big trouble. I mean, look at this recon unit. AMX 10 RC. It kinda looks like something from World Tanks or Rus or something, but this thing, I mean, for a little tiny tank, it also has recon capabilities, which is just amazing. But here's the thing. I mean, look, that there, fucking hell. There you go. That is pretty awesome. That can take out a lot of tanks. That's the one I was talking about. Sorry. That could take out tanks and shit. That could take out vehicles, logistical units, and its recon. And obviously, it's got the ability to take out infantry as well. Although I don't think it does it too effectively. But I mean, look at that, 150 kilometers an hour, and look at the size of it. You know, it has even more power than its smaller brother. So it can go even faster than its smaller brother, and that's smaller. It also has, you know, bigger autonomy and a bigger fuel capacity, higher speed, bigger armor at the sides anyway, better gun, although it fires slower. But this is something to look out for if you're in the pack team. If you see one of them coming towards you and you've got tanks, you may think, oh, it's just a recon unit, but these things can do power. Now, it doesn't really show you in the stats too much, but if you have one or two of these as recon units maybe close to each other, like providing crossfire in a game, you can take out tanks if you use them correctly. If you keep them in bushes and a tank column comes up towards you and you have maybe one or two or three, you can take them out, and it's not particularly amazingly hard. You've got to get a bit of practice, you've got to do it a particular way, but you can do it. And of course, if you have a thing like this, the Bradley, and a kind of like supporting role, you know, you're going to be able to take out infantry as well as you know, light tanks and lighter vehicles that we try to sneak round. Which is why I've chose these two. Now I'm sure there is other stuff in here that's kind of like the AMX, like this thing right here does seem kind of similar. But when I used the AMX in one of the games I played, I've got to tell you, it was pretty devastating. It did do a lot of damage. And this thing right here, this looks like it could do a lot of damage. I think it's actually got better stats in some cases, better accuracy anyway. But that thing, I'm not getting rid of that for anything. That thing is actually great. It's just amazing. Not too sure what else to go over though. I mean, infantry, you could go over infantry. It would take you years, you know, to get over all the infantry in the game, basically. So I've just left that. I think the NATO powers, as this is a comparison video, they have an advantage when it comes to logistics. And of course they have that Leopard 2, which they can use as a commanding unit. And that's a pretty daunting thing to come across, even if it's just, you know, one taking a zone. I mean, you could have like lots of these taking zones and whatever else, but if you have one of them, you know, you're trying to take over this zone and that thing sitting there, you're going to have some shit your pants moments, you know. And of course the Chinooks, you can get the RAF version, or you can get the Royal Canadian version, which is what I'm using here, which I don't think is any different from them, and you can get the American version as well, the Super Chinook it's called, which holds more fuel than the British version. Don't know how, I don't actually know how that works. You can also buy smaller versions for the Swedish, and just like other kind of smaller stuff like the Huey, basically. But obviously everyone, if you're going to go serious logistical stuff, which is what my plan was for being a supporting role, was I was going to use Chinooks, because I mean, look at them. With them and the Alvis Stalwarts, sorry, you know, these are fast. They're not as, I don't think they carry as much as the American ones, but they are very fast and you can get a lot of them for your money. I mean, it's only 15, you get 16 maximum, which is still really good. I mean, like, you only get, what, how many do you get with this? I think you only get like 8, there you go, 8. They do carry more, almost double the fuel, but they're also a lot bigger. And I just don't know if it's worth it, basically. I think you could face a lot of problems with that. I mean, look at it, it's big, it's fairly slow and stuff like that, and you know, these things are faster. Pretty simple. But the Chinook I was trying to talk about, I mean, that is a logistical unit. Having 4 of them just kind of scouting the battlefield in areas, you know, where if you have infantry working, that's going to help out a lot. But the thing about this game is you have to keep balancing it. I mean, I haven't got any flying logistical units for my pack team, and I think it's because the pack team do have great air superiority. I mean, those MiGs and Su-25s are, holy shit, they are good against anything pretty much. This guy, the Su-275, he's really good against tanks, infantry, and pretty much anything else you throw at it. The MiGs are particularly good against helicopters and airplanes. but you can use all of them against anything pretty much, and they do work well. You don't get very many of them for your money. I mean, like 115 command points, and it's one tire slot, you only get one plane, but they are good if you use them properly. But I haven't went with any flying logistical units, just because I don't really know if there's any there that are worth it. I mean, this MI8, you know, that's big. That would be awesome, I'd assume. Or you can get a smaller version, stuff like that. But I don't really know if I'd risk the kind of money it's asking for, and the fact that it doesn't look as cool, I suppose. Plus, I don't know, I suppose for the Russians, I kind of prefer just taking it around. I mean, I do have these two Mi-26s here, and the reason I picked them is just because they're so big, right? That's the difference. You know, these things are amazingly big, but if it was any other kind of transport unit for a helicopter, I don't know if I'd go with it. The other thing as well is if these things get shot down, you're going to have a massive gap in your transport, which is what I've noticed in previous battles. Because I only have these guys. You only get 6 of these with each slot. And I have 2 Mi-26, so I can only have 8 logistical units at one time. But this guy can hold a shitload of stuff though, so you've got to be careful it doesn't get shot down. So I do have like logistical units that fly, but I tend not to use these unless it's like a dire emergency, all these guys are out, or you know, if it's people behind like enemy lines. I don't think there's any aircraft or aircraft or bad shit basically in the way. That's interesting. It'd be nice if that one had a tank gun there. I mean, there probably is a good kind of tank out there like this maybe for defending a zone, but I don't think it's going to do anything against the Leopard, or anything too particularly amazing against the Leopard. I also tend not to use the helicopter units at all, just because I think they can get shot down, like this guy here, and that's devastating, to say the least. I mean, it even looks devastating. And look at it. Wow. I mean, that and all my artillery. You had just a couple of these guys, you can get 6 of them, just guarding a little area with artillery and stuff. You could do a lot of shit. Right now I think I might get a tank. I'm gonna go with the T-80s because they seem to be the biggest, if not those T-64 8Vs. Don't know. Yeah, I should go with T-64s. Why not? They look bigger. But even then, it still doesn't look leopard sized. You know what I mean? It looks small. Like it has a low kind of what's the word? Shadow over it. Not shadow. I can't remember the name of it. Like if you're on top of a hill, you couldn't really see it too well. So that's a low profile. But I don't know. I don't know if I would stand against a leopard. I'll have to try that one out one day. Maybe get someone and try and have tank on tank, certain units and certain units, see who's the best, and put that one up on YouTube. So anyway guys, this will be my comparisons against my packed and NATO support cards. Try to point out some things that you guys may be interested in when you're designing your classes. I mean, of course I play supportively, but you guys may want to play you know, like full on attack tank divisions, and you want to play like, you know, paratrooper style. You want to play supportive like me, would be kinda nice, or you might want to be mostly an aircraft man or whatever. But hopefully some of these things I've pointed out here, the comparisons between units, should help you go in the right direction, and hopefully you'll know in the future if you come across a certain tank or unit I've pointed out, you'll know just to take a bit more precaution and know that your units may not be as good as enemy units, or that your units may be better than enemy units if you're using, you know, one of the things I've pointed out. So that's all I want to say guys. Thanks guys for watching. Please feel free to like, favourite, subscribe. If anyone's ever interested in the game Warland Airland Battles, I'm losing my voice, leave a comment, send a message, whatever. I'll get back to you, I promise. And I look forward to having games with you guys on pretty much anything, anytime, anywhere. Thanks guys for watching, and goodbye.